X-Men First Class, which I am a huge fan of. I think what Matthew Vaughn did, sort of, coming off the husks of the first Wolverine movie and Last Stand. It's sort of like, hey, you need to reboot this. Well, not actually reboot it, because it's not really a reboot. And to me, he absolutely just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I love this movie too, and there was a lot of cynicism going into this movie because, like you mentioned, they're coming off two terrible movies, and because the MCU had begun, so it really shifted it still happens, but the give the rights back to Marvel thing, because no one had any faith in Fox anymore after those last two movies. And then the first posters sucked, and there was so many people saying this looks terrible. But I love First Class. It really has its own vibe, the sort of 60s spy movie aesthetic it goes for, the Magneto theme even, which is very much almost a Bond theme. There's just a lot of really cool things about this movie.
The casting, so perfect. James McAvoy, Fassbender, and Jennifer Lawrence are so good. Let's keep talking about that casting.
Yes.
This is the year of the pretty good casting.
Fassbender too, because I guess he was in Inglourious Basterds was before this, I believe.
Yeah.
But he hadn't really broken out yet.
No, totally.
And he just owns that role. Him and McAvoy are great together. And then you have to give them credit for the foresight on Jennifer Lawrence, who already had an Oscar nomination, but it was for Winter's Bone, a movie no one had seen, a year away from Hunger Games. And casting her, which obviously a year before she'd explode. It was pretty amazing that they assembled those three.
And it's great to take Mystique, which was a character, in the first couple of movies, which Famke Jackson's character was sort of just there.
You mean Rebecca Romaine?
Famke Jackson was Jean Grey. Rebecca Romaine's character, who's just sort of there, didn't really, wasn't really three-dimensional. Whereas now, like this Mystique is sort of, these movies hinge on her and Jennifer Lawrence's performance.
Especially Days of Future Past.
Yeah, totally.
And I know, there's always going to be people who really, I take it in a good-humored way. There's some people who get really mad about the continuity issues with the series. They exist for sure. Professor X saying, when I was 17, I met this man, and he's not 17 in this movie. But on its own terms, as you said, it was a weird, soft reboot, First Class, and then Days of Future Past really tied it back in anyway. But yeah, I just thought I really liked that it felt Matthew Vaughn did such a good job of taking this series into a whole different direction. And yet, at the same time, it was the first time we got the yellow and blue costumes, like the comic books. It kind of melded a lot of things together, and every aspect doesn't work of First Class, but I still think it feels like its own movie in a way. There's a generic feel to some superhero movies. First Class, I don't think, has that.
No, absolutely. And this was Matthew Vaughn, but with this and Layer Cake, he directed my two favorite James Bond movies that aren't James Bond.
Bond movies,
Good job.
And he almost directed X-Men 3, What Could Have Been.
What could have been. Ratner.